A hearty good afternoon and welcome to the session on PCOD. We are glad to have Dr. Nandini among us today to help us understand the topic. She will take us through that and more in this session today. Doctor, you have the stage.
Hello, hi everybody. Very good afternoon. And we are to discuss about the PCOD, which is a very common entity nowadays in a reproductive age group of the women. Nowadays, everybody in the OPD come and show the report that they have PCOD, or they come up and that they've been diagnosed with PCOD before. And the most before we talk about PCOD, firstly we have to know what the actual menstrual cycle happens. The menstrual cycle is something that we always see only the bleeding part of the menstrual cycle. The In the female body we have a reproductive tract which has a uterus centrally located, and two tubes on sides and two ovaries on both the sides. So every month, on day one of our menstrual cycle, when we start bleeding, on that day only the egg is recruited in the ovary that will grow and release egg in the usually around 14 days of time. The egg is released, and that egg travels through the femoral end of the fallopian tube, and there the fertilization happens and enters into the uterine cavity for the pregnancy to grow. If pregnancy doesn't happen, that is when the endometrium, which is uterine lining, which will shed off if there is no pregnancy. The uterine lining will grow along with the egg growth happens. But in PCOD, the egg release doesn't happen because of the hormonal imbalance. And that is the reason why we have irregular cycles and we do not have a proper bleeding schedule. Usually, the menstrual cycle happens, menstrual cycle ranges from 21 days to 35 days. If any abnormality less than 20 days or more than 35 days, it's called abnormal bleeding. In PCOD, the most common symptom what we see is abnormal, like irregular cycles, or they have decreased flow during their cycles, or they have prolonged duration in between two menstrual periods, and also sometimes they have continuous bleeding because of the irregular hormones. And the other symptoms what the PCOD patient usually come are acne, which are because of the more male hormones which are present in the body because of hormonal imbalance. And acne and excessive hair growth on face, on abdomen, and also kind of hair loss, that is on the frontal part of the frontal part of the head. The hair loss happens because of the excessive androgens, and also the weight gain is more. And along with that, they have these symptoms. And sometimes only when you go for a regular health checkup, or you've got a scan done, ultrasound abdomen done for some other reason, then incidentally you find out that in your ovaries there are PCO. The PCO is like, the PCO full form is polycystic ovary disease. So polycystic ovaries is that each ovary, whenever these eggs form and are released, we do not see any cystic kind of things. These are called follicles, but these follicles which are released will be compressed. But if it is not releasing, every month all these follicles will be forming, but they do not release eggs. So all these are arrested at a certain size, that they will be arranged peripherally, and the central part of the ovary also gets thickened. That is when we call the ovary as polycystic ovary. This happens because of the androgen excess and estrogen excess in the body. This is all seen, this we are all seeing very commonly because of the lifestyle that we are leading. And also there will be some genetic predisposition to this, the PCOD. If there's a genetic predisposition, it is just dormant, but because of the lifestyle what we are living in will cause it to start flaring up and cause all these symptoms what we have just discussed. And the most common symptom is irregular periods and delayed cycles. And one more thing is the like all of us have desk jobs, who do have these desk jobs and do not have any physical activity. And the food that we are taking up with, which has a lot of junk food that we are having from outside, not homemade food, and more of refined sugars what we are eating, all these cause this kind of this kind of hormonal changes in our body. That's the reason. That's the reason why we are landing up in more commonly in PCOD nowadays, which is like almost we are seeing 8 to 10% of rise in the PCOD PCOD condition in a reproductive age group of women than before, and almost 1 in 10 OPD what we see we come across PCO. The easy way to avoid is that we should change our lifestyle in such a way that we should start working out or have a regular physical activity, and have home cooked food, and avoid refined sugars, and change our diet accordingly, and have better sleep cycle. All that will help us to avoid PCOD. PCOD also affects our fertility, because in the reproductive age group, the egg is not released. Only when the egg is released, the pregnancy proceeds further. So the egg release is not happening here in PCOD. That's the reason why we have lot of infertility cases rising because of PCOD nowadays. So for all this is that we have to start doing lifestyle changes. And PCOD just not affect only the reproduction or menstrual cycles. It also affects our other day-to-day activities in future life also. Like it affects there's a chance of getting diabetes in PCOD patients, because the PCOD has insulin resistance. PCOD patients all develop insulin resistance, most of them, because of that there's a chance of diabetes in future. And also hypertension because of obesity, because the weight gain is more in PCOD, but it is a vicious cycle. PCOD causes weight gain. In weight gain also causes PCOD, because in when there's a weight gain, the peripherally in the fat, the androgens are converted to estrogen, which causes excess estrogen in the body. That is where more PCOD pattern appears, and anovulation occurs. So both ways, obesity and causes PCOD, and PCOD in turn causes obesity because of insulin resistance. Fat storage increases in the body. Both of this, to avoid to getting into a diabetes, we have to start the physical activity and change our lifestyle accordingly. Other than this, we have medications for the menstrual cycles to be regularized, and ovulation um to become better ovulation. We have to have a proper we have ossiples which we can give for the like regularizing the menstrual cycles and hormone balance. And other than this, there are lifestyle changes that we should be doing. The main treatment for the PCOD is lifestyle change, and for the other symptoms like acne, hirsutism, and all, we have anti-androgenic drugs which are available. And also topically there are other medications which can be used, and cosmetic procedures can be done. And for the weight gain, lifestyle change is more important. And for the infertility part of it, we have lifestyle changes will cause like it will reverse a little a bit, and we can go for ovulation through lifestyle changes. At least 5 to 10% of the weight loss weight loss will have a betterment in the menstrual cycles, and also ovulation and quality of the eggs. And other than that, because of the PCOD, in the long term, we have so many other problems like diabetes and all. For that, we have to be monitoring ourselves very clearly, like very regularly. And also, um, there is a chance of endometrial cancer in women who have PCOD, because the endometrial lining, which should be shut down every month, is not shedding down properly, and it grows on itself. That is where endometrium grows. It will be thickened, and more chances of endometrial hyperplasia and endometrial cancers in women who are exposed to more estrogen in PCOD. And That's it. You have any other questions, you can ask me. We have three criteria for diagnosing PCOD, and the three criteria what we usually take is: one, on scan what we see PCO, and the symptoms of excessive androgens or hirsutism like excess hair growth or acne, and hair fall on the anterior frontal part of the head, and also obesity, and any of the two criteria which shows, and insulin resistance, any of the two criteria which show, then we diagnose them as PCOD. Some people show in adolescent age group, the menstrual cycles are irregular, and the scan might show PCO, but in adolescent age group immediately after menarche, at least for 3 years, if the menstrual cycles can be irregular, in that period we cannot diagnose them as PCO. After 3 years of menarche, still the cycles are irregular, and still they have abnormal bleeding, and scan shows PCOD, that is then we can diagnose them as PCO. All this is because of the lifestyle that we are leading, so we have to change our lifestyle accordingly so that we do not land up in complications associated with PCO. Any questions regarding PCOD, I'm here to take up and can help you out with the doubts you have related to PCO.